what happens when, like, the god of mischief meets the ultimate rebel?
Right.
This deep dive throws us into this fascinating fictional showdown, right? Between Loki and Satan.
Yeah.
We're talking fire, illusions, and some seriously deep questions about what it means to defy, pretty much everything.
Well, and I think that's a great point, right? Because it's not just like a brawl between two, mythical heavyweights.
Right.
This story really dives into the heart of rebellion, right? Like contrasting Loki's playful chaos with Satan's like burning sense of injustice.
Right.
It almost makes you think, like, are they really so different?
That's it. That's a good point. And we've got these excerpts, and the setting alone is incredible, right?
Yeah.
It's like, picture a desolate post-battlefield, tension, like, hanging heavy in the air. It's like the calm before the storm, right? And both Loki and Satan are anything but calm?
No, absolutely not. And I think what's so fascinating is how the story, like, immediately contrasts their motivations.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You have Loki, who's tossing out these witty, almost flippant remarks.
Right.
Like, he's more interested in, like, poking the bear than engaging in, like, a real fight.
Yeah.
He rebels because it's fun, right? It's a way to, like, shake things up.
Right.
Satan, on the other hand, carries this weight of rebellion.
Right.
He challenged the ultimate power, right? And that choice, like, defines him.
It's like, who's really more free in that? The one who avoids any real commitment?
Right.
Or the one who's eternally bound to their rebellion?
Right.
Is choosing not to choose really a choice at all?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a question that, like, resonates far beyond, mythology.
Right.
Think about those moments in your own life when you've, like, felt stuck.
Right.
Whether it's in a job, a relationship, or just a rut.
Sure.
Do you crave that change for the thrill of it, like Loki?
Right.
Or is it something, like, deeper, like a burning need to break free from what feels wrong, like Satan?
Right.
Like, both of those are valid,
Totally.
but they're coming from very, very different places.
And here's where the story throws in this amazing irony.
What's that?
That Satan, by rebelling, traps himself in the role of the adversary.
Right.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Absolutely. He's bound by his choices.
Yeah.
Eternally at odds with a force that he can't overcome.
Right.
And Loki, who seems to, like, flit about without a care,
Right.
might be the one who's truly confined,
Oh.
trapped by his avoidance of meaning, never fully engaging with the potential for real growth or change.
Right.
So it's an interesting dynamic that they set up right from the beginning,
Yeah.
because it's not as simple as it appears on the surface.
So we've got these two figures, right? Locked in this battle of ideologies.
Right.
And the story takes this, like, really interesting turn when Loki actually questions Satan about his, endless rebellion.
Oh, interesting.
It's like he's saying, like, what's the point of fighting a war you can't win?
Right.
Oh.
It's a very human question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when we're fighting for what we believe in, there's always that question of, like, okay, but what am I willing to sacrifice?
Right.
Is there a point where the cost of freedom is too high?
Right. And Satan's answer is, it's actually really fascinating.
What's that?
He says that he'd rather have a purpose, even if it means, eternal struggle,
Wow.
than be like Loki,
Right.
just drifting through existence without ever taking a real stand.
Oh, wow.
It reminds me of, like, Nelson Mandela, decades in prison, but, like, his commitment to his cause never wavered.
Yeah, that's a powerful comparison.
Yeah.
And I think Satan's response there really reveals, like, a deep conviction, right?
Right.
Like, he's chosen the path of resistance.
Right.
And even though, like, it's brought him suffering, it's also given him a sense of purpose,
Right.
an unwavering belief system.
Right.
And it's such a stark contrast to Loki,
Right.
who seems to almost, like, find meaning in the absence of meaning.
Right.
He avoids commitment,
Right.
dodges the weight of consequence.
Yeah.
But is that true freedom?
Right.
Or is that just another kind of prison?
It's almost like he's chosen to, like, captain a ship that's sailing directly into a hurricane.
Right.
He knows it's going to be rough,
Right.
but he's, like, accepted that as the price of, like, charting his own course.
Right. And that's where I think the story really flips the script on us.
Okay.
Because it suggests that, in a way, like, both figures are trapped,
Right.
just in different ways.
Okay.
Loki's a prisoner of his need to avoid commitment,
Right.
forever on the run from anything real or lasting.
Right.
Meanwhile, Satan is shackled to his unwavering dedication,
All right.
eternally battling against insurmountable odds.
So it's like they're two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Forever flipping, never landing on a definitive answer.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder, like, is there even such a thing as winning when
Right.
it comes to these, like, fundamental struggles?
It's a question for the ages, isn't it?
This whole clash between illusion and will, it's not just a fictional spectacle, is it?
Well, not at all.
It gets to the heart of what we've been talking about, you know?
Right.
That tension within us all.
Absolutely.
And the story, it like takes us there, right? To this epic showdown.
Okay.
Loki's pulling out all the stops, right?
Yeah.
Surrounding Satan with illusions, trying to break his spirit
Right.
to show him like the futility of eternal rebellion.
It's like he's offering him a way out, right?
Right.
A chance to escape the weight of his choices.
Right. But Satan, like, he stands firm.
He does.
He sees right through the illusions, calls Loki out for playing games, for never, like, understanding the true cost of defiance.
Right, because he hasn't paid that price.
Exactly.
He hasn't stared into the abyss the way Satan has.
And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Satan has stared into the abyss.
Yes.
He knows the sacrifices that come with standing against the grain, you know?
Right.
Loki, on the other hand, dances around the edges,
Mm-hmm.
never fully committing, always the master of escape.
Right.
It's almost like he's afraid of what he might find if he
Right.
ever truly, like, looked within.
It's so interesting because you see this, like, you get this glimpse, right?
Right.
Like, for a moment, the story hints at this vulnerability beneath all the mischief and trickery.
Right.
This, like, flicker of doubt,
Okay.
maybe even like a yearning for something more.
Right.
True to form, he masks it, right?
Yeah.
More illusions conjuring like a giant serpent to overpower Satan.
But it doesn't work.
It does.
It's like that saying, you can't fake the funk.
Right.
Satan sees right through it,
He does.
proving that true strength, it comes from conviction.
Yes.
From owning your choices, even the painful ones.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the ending so compelling.
Okay.
Because there's no grand battle.
Right.
There's no clear victor.
Right.
Loki admits he was never really trying to win.
Yeah.
More interested in seeing if Satan could be broken.
Right.
And Satan, in a moment of like chilling defiance, he just says, I am unbreakable.
It's an ending that stays with you.
It does.
Right. Like, it forces you to ask, like, who really won?
Right.
Is it Satan who remains unbroken but forever locked in this struggle?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Loki who walks away, you know, unscathed?
Right.
Maybe, like, unchanged, unchallenged by the encounter.
Right. And I think that's the brilliance of this story.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer easy answers.
Yeah.
Right. It leaves us wrestling with these questions
Right.
of rebellion and sacrifice and the true meaning of freedom.
That is freedom.
What is
Right.
freedom? Is it about breaking free from all constraints?
Right.
Or is it about finding liberation within the choices we make?
It's a good question. You know, this fictional showdown, it wasn't just a battle of, like, mythical beings.
No,
It was a battle of ideas
it was.
that ultimately, like, asks each of us.
Yeah.
What are we rebelling against?
Right.
And what price are we willing to pay for it?
It's a question worth asking.
It is something to think about, you know, as you navigate those choices in your own life.
Absolutely.